So, my second favorite character of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is Xander Harris, and I plan to do a YouTube video one of these days on why he is one of the best characters and the only reason why everyone kept fighting and stayed alive, and the true meaning about what Caleb said right before he took his eye, saying, "You're the one that sees," and how meaningful that actually is, and how it led to what happened when everyone kicked Buffy out of the house. And if that didn't happen, Xander would have stood up for her, because it's literally true and canon, and I will fight people on that. But what kills me is that people hate Xander. And yes, he's not perfect, he makes mistakes. But it reminds me a lot of Styles on Teen Wolf, who's the most loved character, when he says, "Some of us are human, some of us have to get our hands a little bloody." Like, Xander and Styles are so much alike, yet Xander gets so much hate. There's this genre of characters that I apparently love, which I didn't realize until recently, because I watched Teen Wolf recently, and I was like, hey, Styles is a lot like Xander in some aspects, and then I realized that there's this genre of characters, these 4 characters I can think of off the top of my head, where they are, like, they're all male, they're all the only person in the friend group who doesn't have any sort of magical abilities ever. They stay human from when they start and when they end, and they're also kind of the inspiration, I like to call, who gives everyone motive to fight and keep making them believe they can fight. And that's Xander on Buffy, Styles on Teen Wolf, Sokka on Avatar: Last Airbender, and Bo on She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. I want to make an edit of the 4 of them because I love them and everything they stand for. And those are all some of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character from the fandom. Sokka and Xander are my second favorite characters from those shows, and Styles and Bo are my favorite characters from those shows. Apparently I love this genre that's never talked about of characters. And what kills me though is that almost every character on Buffy has done something worse than Xander and don't get half as much hate. Heck, they don't even get a fraction as much hate as him. What Willow did to Tara, I like Willow, she's not one of my favorite characters. She does get on my nerves sometimes, especially in the later seasons. But what she did to Tara is worse than anything Xander has ever done in a million years. Stuff Spike has done. I love Spike. He is one of my favorite characters. He's in my top 5. But he has done worse things than anything Xander had ever done. Same with Angel. I'm not a big Angel fan. He did grow me a little bit on Angel, but on Buffy, do not like him. And on Angel, he's still just okay. But anyways, moving on. Cordelia. She wasn't necessarily a nice person, yet she's beloved more than Xander. Anya has done terrible things. And yeah, so like, I see people like always bashing Xander for the whole thing at the wedding. First of all, I think they should have gotten married. They are my second favorite couple after Tara and Willow. But I get where he's coming from. Like, he looked over at his father abusing his mother, and he was even though he found out it was all illusion, that illusion came from actual genuine fears anyways. He loved Anya more than anything. He wanted to marry her, but he was also genuinely terrified of hurting her. Okay, Xander haters, tell me this. If that scenario happened with any other ship, any other character, would you hate them? Or would you say, well, I understand where they're coming from? Let's say Willow did that to Tara, or Spike did that to Buffy, or Buffy did that to Spike, or Tara did that to Willow, or Giles did that to Jenny, or vice versa, or whatever. Angel did that to Cordelia, or Cordelia did that to Angel. There's also like Wesley and Fred, or Gunn and Fred. Like, tell me, if anyone had done what Xander did to Anya, would you hate them? Or would you say, well, I get where they're coming from. They were trying to protect them. Because a lot of Buffy fans are hypocrites. Because you treat Xander like he's the worst character ever, even though almost every character has done worse than him. I say almost because Tara is the purest character and nobody is on her level. If you can't tell, she is my favorite character. But Xander, he saved the world by loving Willow. He convinced all the potentials to stand by Buffy. He made Dawn feel like she was extraordinary when everyone was brushing past her. And I wasn't originally going to explain now, but the whole you're the one that sees, it's because Xander's the one that sees everyone. He's the one that sees what's going on. He's the one that gets everyone to keep fighting. Look at the episode in season 4 when Buffy was willing to give up, and he says, "You're my hero, Buffy." He made her be able to fight, and he's the reason why she won that day, because he made her believe she can. And he's done that time and time again with almost every single character. When everyone was ready to give up, when the world was about to end, he stood up because he always believed. Caleb took his eye, and then he stopped believing. Right before that fight, he got the potentials to believe in Buffy because he believed in Buffy. Caleb saw that. He saw that the only way to take Buffy down and to make everyone turn on her was by taking down Xander. He saw that. And that's literally canon. You can't even fight me. If you fight me on this, that means you did not watch that show. Because that's literally what he says. That's literally what "you're the one that sees" means. That's why he cared enough to, because like on Avatar: Last Airbender, I was reading this thing and it said how Azula, when she brought up Suki and prison and all that, if she didn't think Sokka was a threat, she wouldn't have wasted her time on him. Or the fact that once she was able to firebend again, she attacked Sokka, not at the Avatar or Toph, the greatest earthbender ever. She attacked Sokka because his mind was the greatest threat to her. And the same thing with Sokka. Caleb would not have taken his time to go after Xander and hurt Xander the way he did if Xander wasn't important and the only one that can actually stop him and keep Buffy from, or having Buffy stop him. And then right after that, when everyone is turning on Buffy, she turns to Xander, of all people. She turns to Xander, not Willow, not Giles, not Dawn. She turned to Xander because she expected him to be on her side because he was always on her side. Well, yes, he's not perfect and he did make mistakes, and there was the whole situation when she first came back after Angel dying, but for the most part he was usually on her side and he usually built her up when she was down. But he said he is having trouble believing in anything right now because he lost his eye, and that proves right there that if Xander didn't lose his eye, he would have stood with Buffy. That Xander didn't lose his eye, that never would have happened. If Xander didn't lose his eye, everyone would have stayed supporting Buffy despite everything, because Xander was the one that made it happen. In the first place, Xander was always the one that made it happen, and he is one of the best characters in the franchise. He's the one that gets everyone to fight, everyone to survive, and I'm positive he's the only reason why any of them are believing in themselves or fighting or alive or surviving at all. And I will die to defend Xander Harris, because yes, he's not perfect, but he hasn't done half of what your favorite characters have done, and he gets more blame. Like, there's nothing he can do that people won't find a reason to hate him for, but if your favorite character did what he did, they would still make excuses for him. I love Spike, I do, but the one scene I cannot handle is when he did try to rape Buffy, and yet no one talks about that. But Xander, who had a crush on Buffy, refused to be with her when she was under a love spell on him because he knew it was wrong. And tell me which one is the better man.